Hello, this is the Social Progress Agents. Uh, we're um, we're going to be talking about social physics today with Mauricio Torres. Can you introduce yourself, Mauricio?
Sure. First of all, thanks, Jonathan, for the opportunity to be here in this interview. And my name is Mauricio Torres. I'm a student of Earth Sciences, and I live in Mexico City. I'm almost 23 years old.
Okay. Yeah, it's playing now on the website. All right. Um,
And before starting, I want to thank all of the people that are seeing the live stream right now. Thanks for taking the time to joining.
yeah, I got the time mixed up, so it's starting now. um, and Yeah, I'm John Bean, and I'm sort of leading this Social Progress Agents project. And well, I guess we'll get started. All right, can you tell us what is social physics?
Sure. Before maybe we could start by like saying the objectives of the interview, right?
Oh yeah, like so we did our introductions.
Mhm.
So we're gonna do the definitions.
Yeah,
We're not gonna do the history right
uh,
now, but
I
um,
think that the main objectives of this video would be for everyone to learn what social physics is and be able to grasp the main concepts and the language, like the terms that they use, because there are some words that we use regularly, like exploration or words like that, but in the context of social physics, they have a different meaning. And another thing is understanding how shaping idea flow can influence creativity, innovation, and productivity. And I'm going to talk about idea flow later. And another objective that I would like to aim for is discover how social physics can be applied to improve companies or work groups from ranging from a group of 6 people to even whole cities, and ultimately have a vision of how can all this be achieved and brought together without risking the our privacy and freedom, right? Because as we will see later, there are some serious implications. Like it's social physics can be a double-edged sword. So we're going to talk about that later. Okay, so
yeah, let's talk about the definition of social physics.
okay, the first thing before defining social physics, I think that it would be wise to define another term that is called big data. And big data is about human behavior, really. It's um, what people do, what people buy, where do they go, all of those kinds of information about our personal lives. That's big data, and big data is the main engine for social physics to work. And um, the way that big data is constructed is through the digital breadcrumbs that we leave every day. Like when we buy things with the credit card, when we go to places and our cell phones have a GPS sensor, or what other thing? With the cell phone, with credit cards. Mm, Yeah, all of those things that gather information from our daily lives, like telephone calls, who do we contact and when, what places do we go, what do we buy, all of those things are used to spark the social physics um, engine. And social physics is really a social science, but the difference is that it's a quantitative social science, and it describes the connections that exist between information and idea flow and people's behavior. It's actually used. I like how Alex Pentland. Well, actually, this whole interview is based on a book. The author is Alex Pentland. Here's the book if you want to give it a look. I really recommend the book. And Alex Pentland has a definition of social physics, and he says that um, it lets us understand in a quantitative, predictive way, and it lets us create math equations that predict what people do collectively. And it tells us how ideas flow from person to person through social networks. So it's actually a science that let us make predictions of human behavior in the short term and in the long term. And what other thing? Mm, Well, yeah, ultimately, we're going to talk about how idea flow can tell us how people change behaviors through social learning, that we will talk about social learning later, and that ultimately shapes the social norms that we have, the productivity of a city, or the creative output, or the innovation that a city has. And the name social physics comes from like the classic physics studies the flow of energy that translates into a change of motion, and social physics studies the flow of ideas that translates into changes in behaviors. So that's like the where the terminology of social physics come from.
It's kind of like almost like a metaphor, except it's actual, more quantitative.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I guess we want to talk about what are the scope of the applications.
Uh-huh. Well, it could be beginning like in the individual level. It can help you generate new strategies to be more creative, maybe in a personal way. Uh, Being able to better mm, like have a process of social mining in some sort of way to explore new ideas and look for creative ideas, innovative ideas. That's in the individual level. In a group level, it could be starting from a business meeting of 6 persons. You can apply social physics there to have a more productive business meeting, and you can apply social physics in a large scale to increase productivity of a whole city by designing the city to improve the idea flow, or designing a way uh, to plan traffic or improve health systems, or all of those kinds of things. And I would like to talk about that later. The like the applications to a larger scale, to a city scale.
Okay. So tell us about what exactly is the Promethean fire, or the double-edged sword of social physics?
Yeah, well, it's really scary, right? Because as I was saying, the main engine of social physics is big data, and for social physics to work, we need to have an environment where people feel comfortable enough to share their personal data in an anonymous way to achieve social benefit. But right now, the big data is in some sort of way monopolized, like through Facebook or Google or corporations like that, have all of our information through cell phone apps, through web searches, through credit cards, all of those things that we generate that data, but we don't actually own that data. Once we accept and install, once we install an app and accept the agreements, all of the information that we generate goes into the hands of these corporations. And okay, like for example, Foursquare, we tell Foursquare where we are, and they tell us, oh, okay, here's a really good place that that I recommend to you based on the places you go and based on the friends that you have, right? That's the service that they give to you, but they have all of the raw data of the patterns that you, the places you go. So by having all of that, imagine they can know what people do you see the most because you go to the same places. They know a lot of things about you, and you don't know how this corporation might be using that information about you. So that's like the double-edged sword that it could be used for social benefit, but right now it's being used for commercial uses for the benefit of certain corporations. And if this big data falls in the wrong hands, maybe governments, it could be used to, for example, the government is watching that certain person is talking about the government in a bad way, or is planning to organize a riot or something. The government can intervene through several social networks to change the like the tendency of that group of people, so that they can control the outcomes. So yeah, it's really a double-edged sword. And at the end of the interview, I would like to talk more about the like the whole vision that we could construct using social physics, but within a secure frame, so that we can still have our privacy and freedom, but at the same time receive the benefits of social physics.
Okay. Can you tell us about this social physics sounds pretty esoteric if to the person who's not understanding it. So can you tell us about the main concepts and the language used of social physics?
Sure, absolutely. I think that there are around, I don't know, three main concepts that are the foundations of social physics, and those are the three concepts that are most important to have really a clear understanding of them, so you can understand how like the whole mechanics behind social physics and why social physics works. So the first one, I think it would be I think the most important is idea flow and social learning. Those are the two main concepts, and there are other two. I said three, but there are four.
Okay.
Idea flow and social learning. Those are like the two most important. And social learning is more or less the mechanism of how we learn by two things, by two methods. One is observation of watching other person's behaviors and learning from them, and the other one is from our own experience, right? So social learning includes those two, and it tells us how new ideas become new habits, and these new habits and social norms are shaped and accelerated by social pressure. And the other concept, idea flow, is just how ideas spread through social networks. And I mean social networks not only like Facebook, like digital social networks, but I mean like it could be working environment, you know, a social network where you interact with lots of people. So idea flow tells us how new ideas spread through a social network, and social learning tells us how these new ideas that enter the system become new habits. So those are the main things. And within idea flow, there are two really important concepts that are engagement and exploration. So engagement is getting everyone to like getting everyone into the same page, like getting everyone to coordinate to reach for same behavior or reach for a same goal or something like that. And it works through social learning. And the other one is exploration. Exploration is basically finding new ideas, new strategies, and exploration is really important because it's like the main source of creativity and innovation in a social group. And engagement is the main determinant of productivity. Later I'm going to talk about examples that they have used to determine how engagement is correlated in a causal relationship with productivity. And well, those are the main concepts. And what else could we talk about? Maybe also have the concept of social influence. Social influence as defined in Alex Pentland's book is defined as the likelihood that one person affects the behavior of other person. And social norm is a set of compatible strategies that everyone agrees that it produces the best exchange value. That's like the social norm. So if everyone agrees that being polite to each other is like the best way that we can interact with each other, and it produces the best exchange value for our society, then it becomes a social norm maybe to smile to another person, right? And let me see what else.
So is there a way to kind of understand how social norms are formed and how to make them better?
Give me just 1 second. Just 1 second. Sorry. Sorry. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. How do social norms form, and how can we improve the process of how they form and
Okay.
improve norms in general?
Okay. Well, the whole idea of the how new behaviors become social norms and all of that is through social learning. And oh, give me just 1 second. Sorry. Wait. Sorry, give me just 1 minute. Okay, yeah, well, the whole idea behind the creation of new social norms is social learning. And I was saying there are two ways with direct observation and experience. The way I see it is like, for example, it's very beneficial for us to have social learning because imagine if we didn't have like a collective intelligence, maybe one person, like we didn't know that that by touching something hot, our hands would get burnt, right? Like maybe that wasn't in our knowledge, in our collective intelligence knowledge. So if I see another person touch something hot, and he yells and says, "Oh, I got burnt," then I would see and I would not touch the hot thing, right? I would learn through his experience, and that way we don't need for everyone to have that same experience to learn. So we learn by imitation. So that's a really simple concept, but it could be taken further, like boiling water to avoid getting a disease, right? So that could be some sort of collective intelligence that ultimately is culture, right? Like the whole set of social norms is culture, and it's through social learning that we construct that culture together.
Mm. So can you tell us more about the sort of applications um, of the different things you're talking about?
Sure. Maybe it would be good to start from the more direct application, right? Like the individual level application. How can I use social physics? Like me personally, how can it be beneficial for me? So one thing that I found that it's really interesting is how can we have a strategy to find good ideas and make good decisions. Social physics can help us do that in a individual level, and they say that generally people think that really creative people, like people that have really good ideas all the time, are because they are like really bright people, or they are gifted people, or they just have like this magically way of generating good ideas. But the social physics view tells another story, and this story is that these people that have good ideas mm, are like they are explorers, like they are in a continuous process of carefully and continuously explore their social networks. So by careful and continuously explore these social networks, they find and pinpoint the good ideas. And I'm going to talk about that. Uh, they say that creativity is just connecting things. That's actually words from Steve Jobs.
Mm.
He said that he felt guilty because once he had the things that were in his mind, he was just be able to connect them and say like it's just they are there, they're already there. I just connect them, and I feel guilty because it's really easy for me. That's like the Steve Jobs saying how did he thought about this creativity, because he was a natural explorer of ideas. And the strategy that they propose here in the book of social physics is through if you want to be a creative person and have good ideas and be able to make better decisions, what you have to do is seek out people with different views, different opinions, and different ideas. Like if you have a social pool, like the social network that you live in, you have to seek out the people that have like the different ideas that go against the whole the whole flux, you know. So by seeking out these different people, they say that these people have the like they go against the flow for a reason, and they are called contrarians, and they believe in that they have this strong belief enough to fight the effects of social influence. So you know that their beliefs are strong because they are going against the flow. So by getting to pinpoint these persons, you can have good ideas or bad ideas, but they are different ideas. And the way you select the good ideas from the bad ideas is by watching all of those different peoples that have different opinions. You like grab a subset of those people and watch what ideas do they have in common. And the ideas that these contrarians have in common are like the really good ideas, or like the golden ideas. And they say that one good method of giving value to an idea is by bouncing them off to different people. Like if I hear an idea from somebody and I go telling that same story to different people, I can watch the reactions of others. So the ideas that spark more interest or spark more surprising reactions, those are the ideas that I should keep or further develop. So that's like they mentioned that it's like a work of art for some people. It's like harvesting the ideas, selecting the ideas by bouncing them off everyone they meet, and then sculpting the ideas, adding new ideas and selecting them. And once you have a really good idea, then you can act upon it. So that's like the social physics applied to a personal level. And you have to watch out because since we have social influence, we cannot always have individual thinking. And individual thinking is important because the whole idea of the collective intelligence, you know, it's better to have ideas from diversity of people. It's better because people think differently, and by having like a consensus, like the wisdom of the crowd, they call it. If you have that, then you can have like more creative ideas. But since we can have social influence, once social influence reaches a point, then the same ideas start getting back over and over again. And they mentioned that sometimes they can have this sort of bubbles created, and there can be, they call it echo chambers. So it's like the same idea going over and over again. So the wisdom of the crowd is not there because it's not individual thinking anymore. It's just you're repeating the same idea that he heard, and the other one is copying you, and that person is copying the other person. So it's like you're just following the regular flow. So you're not having any innovation. And the main thing, the three main things about exploration are that social learning is critical. It's critical for our development and for the creation for new ideas, and those ideas becoming social norms and behaviors. Another thing that is important, I would think, is having diversity. Having a diverse group is really good because you can have like more creativity inputs and innovation inputs. And they say that it's easier to spot in person because, you know, when you grab a cab and the guy that is driving the taxi is telling you how to make investment in stocks, you know that something is really weird there, you know. But in digital social networks, it's more difficult to spot those echo chambers, bubbles that we call. So we have to be really careful for that, and we need to be really aware of the contrarians that I was telling you about.
Yeah, you were talking about this a sort of one of the applications that Pentland was talking about was a sort of app that sort of connects those contrarians together and optimizes the idea flow. Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah, well, it's like the idea of matchmaking, right? But we do it naturally. Like if we find a person that we feel has like good ideas, we might be interested in talking to him or her to enrich our views, and that's like the whole mechanic behind social interaction, and that's what social physics uses to be able to make a lot of things. But that's just like the personal level, and social physics has huge implications beyond that. Another thing is that well, the whole concept of engagement, I found it very interesting because it answers a very important question. Actually, Alex Pentland says that it's the most important problem that we are facing today, is how can we get humanity working together to make good decisions and carry them out. He says that any other problems can be resolved just by asking that question and answering it. And engagement answers that question. It says how can we all work together? And they mention an experiment that they carried out in Facebook. Actually, they wanted people to vote more, right? They wanted to increase the votings in people. So they tried two things. One was give like a direct intervention by sending messages to people, like saying them, oh, get out and vote because it's better for you and it's beneficial for the society. You know, a direct message to everyone. And the other thing that they tried was just saying vote, and near along with the message vote was the face of all of your all of the people that you know in Facebook that have already voted. So that was a lot more. It had a much more impact in the number of votings that people had because it used the principle of social pressure. You know, by seeing a close friend that already voted, it's that's the whole thing of engagement. Engagement tells you that when you see people that are doing one thing, you feel like the need to do it too. And they say that one thing that I found really interesting is that there are two ways, like the two views, the cognitive science view and the like the whole social learning view. And the people that are in the side of the cognitive science say that people make changes in their behavior because of rational process. You know, like oh, I think that it would be better for me to eat more vegetables, so I'm going to start doing that. But the reality, what they have found with the experiments that they have carried out with social physics, they have found that persons are more susceptible to their social environment, like the social cues that we have, that we receive every day. Like, for example, it could be direct or indirect signs. Like I can go to a cafeteria and indirectly I can see what other people ask for to eat in the cafeteria, and that actually has more impact than what my rational process of the process of thinking that I have is, like saying, oh, it would be better if I asked for the vegetable menu or the fried chicken menu. No, so they say that we are more inclined to react to social cues rather than the slow thinking, the all of the rational thinking. And another experiment that they carried out is they wanted to lower the electricity usage of people. So what they did is that they noticed one thing. They noticed that when they compared, like they told you, oh, Jonathan, you are using 10% more of electricity than the relative average person of your country. And then they compared that same your electricity usage, but within your neighborhood, and people reacted much more when you compared them to their immediate social social network than compare them to the whole country, right? So they say, oh, well, maybe social physics can be applied to here, to this example. So what they did is they created a digital social network within the web page of the electricity um, corporation, and they gave small rewards to encourage people to form local groups of buddies. You know, I can go to my neighbor and say, oh, if we form this little local group, we can receive coupons or gifts from the company. So it's beneficial for both of us. But what they did is that when a person saved energy, actually the gift points were given to the other person in your team. So actually, there was like some sort of social pressure because if the other one was saving energy, you were gaining the benefits of his efforts. So you had like the social pressure to save energy too. And what they did this, and they accomplished four times more than the regular campaigns of energy savings. Like, oh, you have to save energy because it's important for the environment and all of that. So they use social physics to improve, and the electricity consumption of that place dropped by 17% just by applying that social physics principle. And
And you got to talk about the double-edged sword of that sort of thing, like you know how people can use social pressure to kind of force you into to do things you don't want to do, like join a cult.
yeah, that's actually something that we live right now. You know, the whole thing. I think that a good example would be like the whole environment of ballet. You know, uh, they always ask for girls to be really skinny. So it's like an environment where you have to be skinny, and if you see that other girls are not eating well, or they are bulimic or something like that, you feel the social pressure to do it too, right? So that's like the negative thing of how social physics can be, like the mechanics behind social physics can work against us. But um, yeah, I think that in a controlled way we can use engagement to improve several things. And what would another thing be? Let's see.
Uh,
Or what other question would you have?
how how does this apply to like the city level? I know Pentland talks about like sensing cities.
Okay, so the applications like at a larger scale, you mean?
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Well, let me think of an example. Well, one thing that I would like to mention before we come to the large-scale applications is that they found that, for example, to determine the productivity and the creativity output of a company or city, there are two main things. Like, for example, in a work group, it could be that you can measure individual intelligence, personality, skill, and all of those things of each person to determine the productivity of that group. Or you can watch the pattern of idea flow within that group. And they actually made this experiment, and what they found is that pattern, the pattern of idea flow, how the ideas uh, were like shared within that group was more important, had like a greater impact in predicting productivity within that group than all of this individual intelligence, personality, and skill combined. Like the whole pattern of idea flow was the main key determinant to predict the productivity of a company. So what they did is that they did an experiment in a call center, and they watched the pattern of how the ideas flowed within that call center, and they found that people took breaks of they had 15-minute coffee breaks, but they had staggered breaks. So first I had my 15-minute break, then would go ahead and have your break, and so on. So people were alone in the breaks. So what they did is that they changed the structure of the call center so that people could have their breaks in groups, and just by doing that, they changed the productivity. The productivity of a call center, they mentioned that they measure it mainly in the average call handle time of the calls, right? If you have a call that is, you make the call in less time, then that agent becomes more productive. So they saw that by making this structural change and letting people improve their idea flow, and they could share strategies that they used to treat clients or approach different things of their work, they could improve the productivity of the whole call center, and they raised the whole income of the company by $15 million of that year. So it's a huge increase in profit just by changing the structure of the coffee breaks. So they say that like the good structure of how a work group needs to be is that there needs to be a large number of ideas, many short contributions rather than very few long ones. There has to be dense interactions, like if I give an idea, another person would respond to that comment in a fast way, like, oh, that's cool, or interesting, like that, like have dense interactions all of the time, having interactions, and diversity of ideas. And that's why it's really important for everyone in a work group to participate, because, for example, if we're in a business meeting of 6 people, but only 3 persons of that group are dominating the conversation, then the diversity of ideas are not that efficient. So not everyone is contributing ideas in reactions, and then the whole thing of engagement falls down, and the productivity goes down too. And one thing that is really cool is that with social physics, we can shape the idea flow within a company or within a city to improve the productivity. One thing that they use is visualizing idea flow. They have like this device, this gadget that they call meeting mediator. So you have like a tablet, and in the tablet there are you can visualize the people that are in that group, and then there's a ball in the middle, and the ball is green when everyone is participating at the same level, where everyone is contributing at the same level. And when someone starts dominating the conversation, the ball starts going into the person that is dominating that conversation, and everyone can see that tablet. Everyone has that tablet, and they can have real-time feedback of how is their engagement and idea flow working, and that way they can improve idea flow and improve productivity within a work group. And well, another thing that I like to visualize engagement versus exploration is that, for example, you have a team within a company, but there are lots of teams throughout the company, and engagement would be like interaction between the teams. Like I have my team and I have interaction within my team, and exploration would be my interactions with other teams. So that's like the whole concept of engagement and exploration. and engagement is related to productivity, and exploration is related with creativity and innovation. And they also mention a really good example of how social physics can be used to create instant organizations. This could be useful to, for example, if there's an emergency, an earthquake, and we need to organize lots of people to react and coordinate together, then social physics can be used to create that almost instantly. And they mention an example that they use. Um, they mention a challenge that they call the red balloon challenge. What they did is that they made a challenge in which they had 10 balloons, 10 big red balloons, and they had these balloons scattered throughout the U.S. And the whole challenge was to identify where these red balloons were located throughout the U.S. So what Alex Pentland and his colleagues did was they analyzed this problem, this challenge, through social physics, and what they saw was that most of the persons were using the challenge had a reward of $40,000. So most of the persons within this challenge that were participating in this challenge were giving $4,000 to each person that found a balloon and reported it to that group. So if I found a red balloon, I would receive $4,000. But what Alex Pentland saw was that the network that they were building was not getting big fast enough, because, for example, if I know about the challenge and I know that I have the opportunity to receive $4,000 for finding a balloon, then it's very probable that I will not tell anyone else about the challenge, right? Because if I tell you and you find the balloon, then you would receive the money and I won't. So that keeps the network from growing. So what Alex Pentland did was that he introduced the whole idea that if I invite someone to the challenge, that's actually like a service that I'm doing for the network. I'm like doing some activity for the network to grow, so that should be rewarded too. So what social physics did was that the person that found the balloon only received $2,000, but if I invite that person that found the balloon, I would receive $1,000. And if somebody invited me to the challenge, so if there's someone that invited me and I invited somebody else, and that somebody else found the balloon, then he would receive $2,000, I would receive $1,000, and the person that invited me would receive $750. So everyone that invited someone received a smaller proportion depending on how far the chain went until the person found the balloon. So actually, if I invited lots of people to the challenge, it would be better for me because I increase my chances of receiving money from the challenge. So the network started increasing in a much more rapid way, and they found the 10 balloons in 8 hours, and they won the contest by using social physics. So that's, I don't know, it's really interesting because it's a way that social physics learns how people interact with each other, and they use it to create instant organizations, instant networks of people.
And how does that relate to that sort of idea that we're only 8 connections away from everybody in the world?
Oh, it's 6 degrees of separation, 8
Yeah.
degrees of separation. Yeah, I wouldn't really know. I don't know. It's a whole new concept. and they don't mention it in the book, but it would be interesting to be how social physics apply to that concept of everyone is connected in a way, you know. And I think that's like the main reason why social physics works, you know, because by if I invite people and those people invite other people, then the social network starts growing in a very rapid way. And what else? Maybe we could start talking about how social physics could be applied to whole cities, right?
Yeah, the data-driven cities idea.
Yeah. Well, the whole concept behind social physics, as I was saying, is big data. And right now, we're building a nervous system for the city through our cell phones, through our credit cards, and all of that. So we already have a really good nervous system in a way, in the sense that we have all of the information ready there. So the data is there. We just need to find a way to use that data in a safe way to respect privacy, and we need to have like a good science to use that data in a efficient way. And the ways that they present social physics as having an application to a whole city is, first of all, transportation. They say that just like scratching the surface, they say that we could all have like a personal transportation schedule to avoid having like this traffic jams. So that's like the whole, only scratching the the surface. But we could start, imagine we could have crowdsourcing of dangerous conditions. For example, if we could have real-time data of, for example, if I know that somebody is having frequent emergency braking events near me, you know, like people had an emergency brake event, no, that they had to press the brakes, and that person is near me, then I'm in risk of an accident. So we could have a system that tells us of these kinds of dangerous conditions. And another thing that it could be used is to use transportation systems and transportation networks to improve exploration within a city, to improve productivity. Because as we were saying, exploration is like the main determinant of innovation, and innovation increases productivity in the long term. So by designing transportation networks for people to have it easy to have more exploration, like to learn new ideas with people, interact with people, go to new places, learn, like go to museums, and all of that, we can increase exploration and increase productivity within the city. And another thing that they mention is in the health section, in the health area and disease. Right now, they're developing something that is called Google Flu, and it's something really simple. Google analyzes the amount of web searches that people search for flu, and if many people search for the word flu in a specific area, then they can determine that that area has a higher risk of infection. And that's just scratching the surface again. Social physics can be applied like to have a real-time health monitor system, like monitor health status in real time. And what did they find with the experiments that they have done with social physics is that they found that the people have different behaviors when they are becoming ill. So if I have symptoms of cough or sore throat or something like that, they have seen that people with these symptoms, they change their behavior in a sense that they start to diversify their social interactions, and they increase their social interactions. So people start to call more of their peers, or they start to diversify who among those peers they usually call. So it's something that it's good uh, for the virus, right? That we start looking for more people, like having more interactions. But yes, that's something that I found with social physics, that they have a change of behavior. So if we have real-time data of our calls, like our call patterns, we can actually make a prediction if a person is going to become ill, if he's going to get the flu. And if we have like an aggregate data of those persons, we can have like we can determine if there's going to be an infection risk of an area. And they have actually, in the book, they had already done that, and they have maps pinpointing like this area is the area that has the most elevated risk of infection because the call patterns that we analyzed. And they can even predict GDP per square mile correlated with idea flow within a city.
Do you think that they can sort of like that movie where they predict crime, and you can be in trouble based upon a forecasted crime that you might do?
Yeah, well, actually, they mentioned crime. It would not be possible within the work frame of social physics, because the whole concept of social physics is that you are sharing the information, your personal information, but in an anonymous way, so that you remain your privacy with your privacy and freedom, right? So if they can actually pinpoint that, oh, you're going to commit a crime, they would have to know that that subset of data comes from you, and that would violate all of the principles of social physics. But they can actually make they can apply social physics to prevent having a high crime rate. In a sense, when they talk about designing cities, they mention that cities have to have engagement and exploration. And they say that if there's a city that it's an area that has lots of apartments and people don't have places to interact with each other, then there's no community built inside that area, and there's no trust within the neighbors. So what happens is that crime goes up. So by having places where people can interact with each other and like have engagement within that area of the city, they can lower crime rates. And they have actually tested this using social physics and several devices that that gather personal information in real time. So they can design cities to avoid crime rates, to improve productivity, and they also say that a good city has to be like this area of people having engagement between them. Like, don't have apartments only. You have to have like some place where people can go and interact with each other. But a city has to have also a good transportation system, so people can get out of that area and get to interact with people of other areas, so they can have this sort of exploration within the city. And so they say that it's important for a city to have like a central hall where there's like the whole concentration of culture, of technology, of all of those things, where people can go there and interact with people of all of the areas of the city. So they mention with really specific details how we could design a city to improve all of those things. We could improve health, we could improve transportation, we could improve productivity, GDP, crime rates, lower crime rates, all of those things. It's actually, there are lots of applications of social physics at a larger scale in city.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because I'm interested in sort of designing community spaces. Um, how would social physics advise me to design a community of maybe 10 to 20 people?
Well, the first thing is that they mention that everywhere there are leaders, and they define a leader as not somebody who gives lectures or that is always speaking and controlling people, but actually they say that leaders are people that are always like interested in everything. So they are like the connectors. They have this ability to talk to someone and spark a conversation between the other people, not just like between the leader and the other persons, but the leader actually sparks a conversation between the other people. So that's like really the main concept. There has to be engagement between everyone, not just like the leader and the people, not just two people. It has to be like interaction between everyone, and that's the main point where it's like the most efficient social interaction, where productivity goes up to the roof. You have a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity, because you have more diversity in ideas and all that. So that would be a way to use social physics to improve the productivity of a small group of people.
I'm thinking that there would be an easy way to sort of fund the sort of social physics um, technologies. There would be like an impact investment model. Have you heard of impact investing?
Well, right now, what they're doing mostly in social physics is just making experiments, because they are beginning to uh, get information about the behavior of persons that they didn't even expect. So right now, what they're doing is that they're, for example, if I propose a really good experiment that I want to carry out, I could contact the MIT and Alex Pentland's group, and they actually can provide you with the devices that they use. They call this the sociometric badges. They use this to measure the patterns of interaction between persons, face-to-face interactions, call interactions like cell phone calls, interactions, um, interactions through mailing, or they measure also like the energy behind the interactions, like the whole concept of body language. They also measure that, the tone of voice, all of those things. They measure that with the social metric badge, and they start gathering this huge data, like data, how do you call them? Um, like lumps of data about people, but they are like gigabytes and gigabytes daily of real-time data of people, of interactions, and all of that. So they use this data to see how humans work, how interactions between humans work, and how can they intervene to tune each social interaction to make it better, to make it more efficient, to make it more productive. So yeah, they're like facilitating this sort of software also for cell phones. If you have this software installed in your cell phone, that cell phone becomes a sociometric badge that can give you big data. So yes, right now it's very accessible for everyone to start creating experiments and yeah, all of
Because
that.
one of the big things about impact investing is lowering crime, and when you lower crime, if you can prove like your effect, how much you lowered it, you kind of earn
Well,
the savings.
yeah, I don't remember the exact percentage that they managed to lower crime. But let me see if I can find it just really fast here.
Okay. Yeah, like
It says social physics tells us that if we just increase the population, then upgrade the transportation network, then we will be promoting both increased crime and increased creative output. But what if we could both have the high levels of social engagement characteristic of traditional villages, and hence their lower crime rate, and the high levels of exploration characteristic of sophisticated business and culture and cultural areas, and hence their greater creative output? So they say that they want to increase engagement in residential areas, which lead to stronger norms of behavior and all that, but at the same time not increase the amount of exploration for everyone, since that would increase the amount of crime. So what they talk about here in crime is the segregation of cities, like having like lumps of people living together and not being able to have lots of engagement between them, and not being able to have lots of exploration outside their area. That's what causes the crime rates, and having people concentrated in dense areas. But they don't mention any.
Yeah,
They mentioned that they have improved health systems by 20% and transportation systems by 10% with minimum investments. But they don't have like a quantitative data for crime in the book.
Oh, that's pretty big increase.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the return, if you had like invested in this technology, that would be a huge return if like half of it went to the expenses and
Yeah.
the investors. So it's easy.
That's like the general concepts behind social physics, and some applications, personal applications, applications within companies, and applications within a whole city, right? And right now, I would like to talk about how does Alex Pentland envision how can we create an environment for social physics to be plausible, you know? And what he talks about is that what we need right now is to be able to have the ability to possess our own personal data, you know, like the right to possess data about you. Because if you think about it, it's data that you create. You're generating that data, so it's natural that you would be entitled to it. And for example, apps like Pandora or SoundCloud, where you give likes to songs, those likes translate into recommendations that Pandora gives you, right? But that data about you, about your likes, you cannot visualize that data. You cannot own that data. You cannot decide how can that data be used, or what could it be used for. Once you accept the terms of the app, those data belong to that corporation, and they can use it whatever they want it for. So the first thing that we have to do is one thing that Alex Pentland calls the New Deal on data, and is having the right to possess data about you, having full control of the data, like having if you install something in your cell phone, that you have the knowledge of how this data that is being gathered of you is going to be used exactly, and that you accept that it will be used just for that for those motives. And the third thing is that you should be able to dispose or distribute your data whenever you want and in the way you want. And another thing that they talk about here is a platform that they call PDS. It's Personal Data Store, And actually, I found it a genius idea, because what they want to do is to have like a cloud, a personal cloud, where you can store all of the data that is gathered of you, and actually make all of the computations and all of the like the calculations that are needed to power other applications like Foursquare, or recommendations of Netflix, or all of those things, instead of you giving the raw data to these corporations, and they processing the information and then using it for their for being able to offer their service. What PDS does is that you have your own cloud, and for example, if I want to give the information to Netflix so that it could recommend movies to me, instead of me giving my raw data to Netflix, I use PDS to compute all of the necessary information, all of the answers that Netflix needs to operate, and I just give the answers to Netflix, not the raw data. So that's a way to protect our data. And they construct this PDS system, imitating the platforms that we currently use to make interbank monetary transfers. You know, if I have a bank account in Santander and someone else has a bank account in Bancomer, I'm using Mexican banks, by the way, we can make this money transfers using a really secure platform, a digital platform. And these are platforms that manage millions and millions of money, of dollars, you know, and they haven't been hacked, never. So they're really secure platforms, and they use this same platform to share ideas. So I have my cloud of PDS. I have my cloud, and if I want to share my big data, the data of my behavior, my call patterns, my where do I go, what do I buy. If I want to share that in an anonymous way, or in a way that is not anonymous but within some legal frameworks, then I can do that. I can share that information using this platform that banks use. So it's a really secure platform that we could use to share ideas, and that's like the whole thing, that will create an environment so people can feel comfortable enough to share their personal information in a way that they know that it will be anonymous, and it will not be, they could not identify them by their information, and they can give this information for social benefits, like the ones that we just talked about. So that's like the whole vision behind the New Deal of data, and how we could envision a data-driven society.
So the question I would have about that is, how would the buyer keep his calculations kind of secure so that it can't be stolen and used by somebody else? Like
Sorry,
his
could
formulas.
you repeat the question?
So how, if I wanted to use your PDS, your personal data storage, but I have to run like a formula, but I have to disclose that formula to you, or is that sort of like
No, I think I understood the question. If you, for example, I have my cell phone, and I want to have the ability to control my data, right? So instead of just installing applications like Foursquare directly to my cell phone, I would install first the PDS, and then from PDS I would install Foursquare. So the information necessary for Foursquare to operate, like the GPS sensor of where I am right now, that data would be stored within my my PDS, my cloud, my data cloud, and then that application would be installed within the legal frameworks of the PDS, and PDS would only give the answers to to Foursquare, for example, so that they can use the answers to give me the service that they intended to.
So that there would be no way for me to like steal the service that Foursquare is offering, I guess. I'm just talking about like
Yeah.
proprietary concerns.
Yeah, no, Foursquare would be independent, and you could decide which corporations or which applications you would like to share your information with, but you don't have idea how that you don't have idea how Foursquare can use the information that your PDS computes to give you his service. So that remains within the legal rights of Foursquare, for example.
I'm thinking another model would be sort of like how Bitcoin works. Every coin is like tracked, like the transactions are kind of tracked. So I think another model maybe similar to the PDS is the make the data units sort of tracked, and each time they're kind of queried or accessed by a formula or an application, then it would be charged, and that way I would never need to know the formula.
Yeah, yeah. Like keep track of how that specific bit of data is being used, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually mention it too somewhere here, and it's really important because if you want to have like the legal right for data, we need to know what happens to it at all times. So yeah, it's really important, and we need to find a safe framework and efficient framework to do that. And well, the book also has like a math appendix where they mention the mathematical equations that they use to predict social influence or other kinds of things like that. But I haven't been too focused on that because it's like I don't know, it's advanced math, and I haven't had the time to really take a look into that. So I wouldn't feel comfortable enough to expose those and explain those mathematical models that they use. But those are like the whole mechanism that makes social physics work, the math behind it.
Yes.
And we could have like a they actually mention a lot of resources, extra resources, if you want to learn more about the sociometric badges, or if you want to learn more about the mathematical equations that they use for social physics and all that. They give resources so you can learn more about them. So you could maybe post them to the webpage that you have afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah,
Perfect.
and we also kind of invite everybody to submit their questions, and
Yeah. Is there a way to submit questions here live so we can respond to some of them?
yeah,
Or
on Twitter, you just have to put in this hashtag social progress agents,
okay.
and it shows
Do
up
you
on the
think
webpage.
we would have time for that, or should we just respond the questions later, like
Yeah,
written
we can
responses?
respond to them later in text
Okay,
or in another
perfect. So
episode.
I think that's about it. It's obviously the book has a lot more details, and everything that I mentioned is explained with much more detail. And there are lots of examples and experiments that they have done, even in whole countries. In Sierra Leone, they made an experiment where everyone was being measured uh, day to day, continuously, real time. And I really encourage you, if you feel interested in learning more about social physics, I encourage you to buy the book because it's really worth it. It's really I don't know. I think that social physics will change a lot of how a lot of institutions work, governments work, companies work. It could help us increase productivity in our own personal startups, or I don't know. It has huge applications, a huge diversity of applications. So it wouldn't hurt to learn about social physics. So
And
here's the
also
book.
about
Okay.
and also learn about the course.
Yeah. So yeah, I encourage you to buy the book and support the author because he has really good ideas and he's really fighting for everyone to have the right to possess the personal data of everyone. So that's, I think, a fight that is worth fighting for. So it would be a good way to support them buying the book. And I don't know if you have any more questions.
Um, let's see. Um, I guess we can conclude. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm, perfect.
Um,
So thanks everyone for watching, for joining this conversation. And it would be good if uh, this video could spark the beginning of a discussion about social physics. So Jonathan has a web page already running where we could start a discussion. So if you have any questions or any ideas of how you think that social physics could be used, or any other thing that you would want to add, feel free to share your idea in Jonathan's webpage, and we could start a good discussion environment.
and thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll have more episodes. And if you know anybody who's interested in explaining their contributions to social systems or anything exciting about that, just let me know, and we can try to set up a video and just have a discussions. So thank you for watching, and have a good day.
Perfect. And thanks to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you, Mauricio.
Bye bye.